Hey, you guys, this is Matt Berman. I'm the stunt coordinator and the killer in Urban Legend. And you're watching Craven Something Scary.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, visitors, subscribers, my patrons, and channel members, otherwise known as my Cravenites. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Guys, tonight is going to be a blast. It's been something that's been in the works for quite some time, and I think you guys are going to agree with me that it was well worth the wait for our amazing special guest who made time out of his very busy schedule to join us tonight to talk about some of his films that he's been involved in and been a crucial part of. And he's been willing to give us an entire hour of his time. And so obviously, I'm going to be very respectful of that because, hey, listen, we want him to come back, right? You know it. We want him to come back again. So we're going to do that. We have a whole hour to talk with him, and you have a chance to submit your questions as well. Of course, with the amount of people and the time that we have, I won't be able to get to everyone's questions. All right. So you guys know that. Don't take it personal because it's not. It's just a matter of time and volume. However, I do make a pledge to you every stream. If you send in a super chat question or comment to BJ for one of his films that he's worked on, I promise you I will not end the stream until we have addressed your super chat and that he could actually answer you directly live in real time. Pretty awesome. So you have that avenue. And plus, if you do send a super chat, remember, you're actually helping the channel out a lot. You're helping to support the channel, keep the lights on, and allow me to have more live streams like this, these special streams that are so fun and so amazing. So all of that, it's a win-win for you and for the channel. All right. Keep that in mind. So as we're going through things, I want to say a blanket hello to the chat. I see you all here. If you've left a comment, I do see that you're here, and I appreciate each and every single one of you for joining us tonight. All right. It's going to be so great. Now, my guest, before I bring my guest on, just want to, you see the screen, you see the banner, send your questions in. But I also want to just to let you know some of the films that are on his incredible resume. And we're going to be talking about Corn in the Clownfield. That's the movie we need to make. We got to do that. We got to remake that. Goodness gracious! Of course, as you see, Clown in the Cornfield, Orphan First Kill, one of my very favorite movies of the last 45 years. Really enjoy that one. I can't wait to talk to him about that. Violent Night, another one that's such a great movie, a fun movie. David Harbour, you guys know it. Dark Harvest, which is a great movie. It's underestimated or underrated, I should say, in my book. And I highly recommend Dark Harvest if you've not seen that. Nobody, which is not a horror film, but boy, it's a great movie. So much fun. So many fights and things going on in that movie. And The Grudge 2019. And guys, he's also going to be doing work on Silent Night, Deadly Night, the remake starring Rowan Campbell. You guys have heard about it. It's coming out this year. And of course, there's not a whole lot he can say right now. As you guys know, it's not been released, but he's involved with that project as well. These are just a few projects, and there's many more, including one of his own, very own films that he directed and wrote. We're going to talk about that. Don't Return. We're going to talk about that as well. And I'm going to give you some links, or not links, but some places that you can go to watch his film. And so all of these things are on the plate for tonight. Let's not waste any more time. I just want to bring them on so we can get started. I know you're itching to get going too. So please welcome, guys, my special guest tonight, Mr. BJ Verot. BJ, welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Steven?
It is going great, man. And I'm so happy to have you again. Super duper thanks to you for giving us your time tonight to be a part of this channel and my community. It means a lot to all of us here. Much
thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Fantastic. Well, as I mentioned to you backstage, BJ, I like to just kind of go with the flow, right? I like to just kind of have fun. Let's have a conversation, and we're gonna do that. But I do have some questions that I want to start with, and it's one that I ask all of my special guests who are in the stunt field, which I've had many guests that have been on the channel that I really think it's such an underappreciated, yet what's the word I'm looking for? Underappreciated, but overly expected, if you will, community in as far as in the fan base, right? And you guys, you and your colleagues, your peers, you make these movies work, because without you, truly, these movies would not be half of what they are right now. We would be running out of the theater saying, "What are we watching?" You know? But because of your hard work, your selfless acts of self-sacrifice, really, to make these films work, you do make these films enjoyable. So I have a deep respect for you and your colleagues in the stunt field. And every time I have an opportunity to meet you and meet one of you, bring you on, let's talk about it, it just fills me with joy, because I want you to have as much exposure as possible for the hard work that you do. So having said that, let's talk about how this really began for you, because everyone has an origin story, right? And I would just love for you to take us back to the point where in your life you knew, like, this is what I want to do. I want stunt work. I have a passion for this. When did that moment hit you? And kind of talk us through those early days, if you would.
Right. So I'm a child of the 80s. So, I came up with all these classic films, and they're just decadent and indulgent and ultra violent. And as I was growing up, I would just watch these on repeat. And then you fast forward until my, as I was becoming a young adult. Oddly enough, I kind of got my start in stunts by going to university. I went to school for it. It's so weird. It's in Manitoba. I'm from Canada. And we have a pretty busy industry here. We have a really good tax credit, and we have a couple crews that can support and film these projects. And at the time, it wasn't as busy as it is now in Winnipeg. So when I was going to university, I was taking film. And as it turns out, one of the marquee stunt coordinator named Rick Skeen, based here in Winnipeg, he was running a stage combat / film stunt class. And I was like, well, I can't avoid that. Like, that sounds amazing. So I basically took that for half a semester. I had some background in judo. I was fairly agile. I could do backflips. I trained myself doing backflips off my deck into the snow here in Winnipeg. And,
Nice.
So it all kind of, developed over that. And Rick also has a son named Sean, and he was around my age. So we got to know each other pretty well. And at the end of the course, I just gave him a headshot and a resume. And I said, hey, if there's something that you think I might be a good fit for, I'd love to be involved with stunt work. And, I also want to be a director. So these things kind of are hand in glove. They go pretty closely together. But I really wanted to get involved in stunts. And sure enough, he called. And I did my first stunt, which was a character getting sucked backwards into an air conditioner unit. And
oh, wow.
which was, not bad. It was pretty good and very exciting. but then I didn't work again for another 6 months because it wasn't like it is now. So I got this really slow drip fed experience kind of getting involved in stunts. But by the time 2015, 16 hit, it got busier and busier and it snowballed. And by then I was working full time. I was full time. It was career. And by 2018, 2019, so I guess about 6 or 7 years into doing my stunt work, that's when I also started to make the shift into stunt coordinating. So, between my own projects and stunt coordinating and stunt performing, that's been essentially my full-time career since about 2016. So almost a decade now of full-time.
Wow, that's
grind.
incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. How does that feel just looking back on your life? Because, so many people in life, and I've been there at times too before when I was younger, but there's so many times in life where like people say, I really want to do this. This is what I want to do. And unfortunately, life happens, things happen, and they never get to see that fulfilled. How does that feel for you looking back saying, I went to school for it, I went to this, and look where I'm at. Like it actually happened for you. You made it happen.
It was great. And you know what, like as far as that goes, I mean, it could have very easily never happened. But like, I guess what I would say is I would encourage everyone to, if you want something, you kind of have to be bold and you have to chase it. If I never gave them my headshot and my resume, it would have never progressed to that next step. And as a stunt coordinator, I've had so many people be like, I want to get into stunts. I want to do this. I want to do that. And the first thing I tell them is just send me a headshot, send me a resume with any applicable skills that you have. And that's a start. I know your face. I know your name. I know, your requisite skills. And you don't have to be like an insane martial artist or anything like that. But you'd be amazed. Like 90% of the people I talk to never send me a headshot or resume. So part of it's just showing up. You got to show up and be ready to kind of jump in and take those opportunities when they come.
Absolutely. I mean, nothing's going to come to you. You have to go to it, right?
You got to chase it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Great stuff and great advice, by the way. So, typically one of my closing questions is like, what advice would you give? And I think you just gave it. Like that was perfect, right? Get a headshot. Yeah, get a resume, something you can shoot.
And I mean, that extends beyond stunt work. Like if anyone here is aspiring filmmakers, get nuts. Like before I directed a feature, before I got really heavily involved in stunts, I kind of just made a decision around, I think it was 2014. I said, it might cost me a little bit of money. It's going to cost me a lot of time, but I'm going to start making narrative shorts. I'm going to start honing my craft. And then I've done about 10 shorts now, and they've screened all over the place, tons of genre festivals, which is amazing because those are the movies I like. And those are the fans that I want to meet. And those are the people I want to engage with. So, it all works together.
So awesome, man. And congratulations on almost a decade of full-time work now. Stunt work. That's amazing. Now, let's talk about, I'd like to start us off with what is, normally I kind of go backwards and then come forwards, but I thought it would be different tonight. And let's start more with where we're at presently and then go backwards. So, because we've got a movie in theaters right now, Clown in a Cornfield, and guys in the chat, lady, everyone in the chat, if you haven't seen it yet, be sure you get to your local theater and watch this movie. Okay. Check it out. And so I would like to ask you for this movie in which you were a stunt coordinator, right? Of Clown in a Cornfield. Is that correct?
I was a co-coordinator. In fact, you might have heard the name that I mentioned earlier, Rick Skeen, my mentor. Yes. We co-coordinated it together, which was amazing.
Cool.
I mean, it was just like, as far as movies go, definitely one of the best experiences I've had on set. Eli Craig, the director, Tucker and Dale. Amazing. Really nice guy.
Zombieland, another one that he did was great. Zombieland.
Knows what he wants, right?
Okay.
So that was really good. And I wasn't familiar with the project or with the books. So I remember I was reading the script and spoil. Are we able to kind of get into details?
Whatever you're comfortable with, we're going to do that. So guys, I'll warn everyone, there are potential spoilers. We're going to let BJ have freedom to share what he wants. So
all right, I won't go crazy, but I'll just say I was reading and I remember I was breaking down the script, and breaking down is, you're going through the script and you're like, okay, that's a stunt. Guy gets tackled. That's a stunt, and you're just starting to earmark everything as you go. And I remember probably around page 40 or 45, there's that moment when the chainsaw hits in the cornfield and Friendo steps out and another Friendo. And I was like, what the hell? And it just got crazier and crazier as it went. And from there, it was just a rocket ride. And I remember like looking at my breakdown page and I had like maybe 5 notes. And from page 40 on, I was like, okay, Friendo chainsaws the door. Friendo, like it just didn't stop. It was just a snowball tumbling down the mountain. And which was actually, that's one of the greatest reasons to have a co-coordinator, because you go, okay, where are we starting with this? And you start triaging out all the craziest stuff and breaking those down and figuring out how you want to do it. But it was just an incredibly busy show. So it was really fun.
Oh my gosh. And you know, I guess your opportunity to do this was it with your Doug? It was Doug Skeen, right? Doug Skeen, is that right? Did I say the name right?
Rick Skeen.
Rick Scheme, excuse me, Rick Scheme. I'm terrible with names. So did he give you a call and say, hey, BJ, I want you to come work with me and co-coordinate?
Yeah, he had been contacted, and he said, there's this project that I want you to come on board and work on so that we can work together. And I was like, oh, well, of course. Yeah. I mean, I was all in. And this was right around the SAG strike as well. So like in general, work was really drying up, but with us being Canadian, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was an all Canadian cast. So we were able to continue filming the project. So I was one of the very fortunate few who was able to work through one SAG approved project, because we didn't have any people, you know, jumping over or working outside of their means. And that was a long project. I think we started prepping for it in early August, and I think we wrapped in November. It was a long, ambitious project.
Wow.
Plus 30 or in Fahrenheit, it was probably like 98 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer when we were filming. And by November, it was snowing outside. Like we ran the gamut of the seasons in that project.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, that's one thing I was going to ask you, was like the shooting schedule. When you guys were actually like, you know, on set, on location. Yeah. Like, you know, what was your typical day out there, BJ, on an average day, work day for you?
Yeah, I mean, it started off relatively tame when they were kind of shooting like a lot of the character scenes where they're, you know, we're getting to know them and whatnot, a lot of Act 1 stuff. And oh man, we hit another gear in late September, early October. It was, at that point, it was all overnights. We're shooting all overnights, you know, 4 days, running around in the cornfield. We're in a abandoned factory. It was just once the onslaught hit. And the biggest thing, I had mentioned that a lot of friendos come out of the cornfield, and I think the biggest thing that we were facing was like, okay, so we have sledgehammer friendo, chainsaw friendo, and once they started getting killed off, once we killed off a few clowns, it got a little easier to you know, wrap our heads around all the scenes that were coming up, because there was just less friendos to have to worry about.
Well, I got to tell you, when I saw that it was not just one clown, but all of a sudden all these clowns coming out of the corn, I was like, oh wow, was not expecting that.
Yeah,
that was a cool moment.
Yeah, it's a fun surprise.
It is really was. It was great. So you sent us some cool pictures here to share, and I'd like to kind of go through some of these with you. Now here, let's talk about this one. Kind of walk us through what this image, if you would.
All right. Well, there are some of my closest friends. When you're this busy working in film, oftentimes your stunt friends that you work with all the time become your closest friends. So we got the Strome brothers, dead center there, and in the blue too, that's Rick. That's Rick Skeen, the other coordinator right there.
Oh yeah, okay.
So and then near foreground there, we have Crystal Snow, and she's a good friend of mine as well. So this was, I think this was the night where we all come out of the cornfield and we chase them into that shed, essentially.
Yes.
So this was just a little discussion, I think, between takes while they were doing another setup.
Oh man. Now let me ask you a question, not related to this particular movie, but I have some really neat friends in Canada doing stunt work. I've got I'm real good at friends with Alex Armbruster.
Yeah, I know Alex as well. We're good friends too. Yeah.
He's so cool. Have you done any movies with him, or do you know Max Laferriere by
I
chance?
know of Max. I don't know Max, but
What
yeah,
about Matthew Coder? Have you worked with
no, I haven't
Matthew
met
Coder?
him, no.
Okay.
But Alex,
Um,
yeah, we have worked together. Actually, he was on Nobody.
oh,
So maybe we can
cool.
get into that later. But
Yeah,
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 I
yeah. We'll
mean,
get to
that
that
was a
later.
huge shootout scene at the end, and Alex was one of the ringers that they brought
Oh.
in to just have goons everywhere getting blasted.
That's so cool. Yeah, we'll talk about that. No,
Yeah.
that's great. I was just curious while I was thinking about it. Um, now we got some wicked shots you sent. Look at this.
Yeah, these are
Jeez.
really fun. So I was very fortunate. I guess just over the course of the film, I got to know Eli quite well, and we developed
Mm-hmm.
a really nice shorthand of working together. So he really,
Good.
really looked after me. He gave me these opportunities where, for some of these key sequences, I got to be the friendo in the mask, doing a lot of the kill
Oh,
segments. So
yes.
that was really fun. And I just, it was great because I put the mask on and then I just get to be weird. And then I just wait for him to try to rein me in. And fortunately, he just let me go crazy. And, I think we got some really fun stuff. He liked a lot of the weird physicality I was trying to bring to things. And so, yeah, I look back on those scenes and that film just very fondly because of that.
Oh man. So this is actually this is you here. That actually is you in the costume,
Mm-hmm.
right? For this particular scene.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. Here's another shot I'm curious about. Maybe this might be the same. Is that you as well?
Yes, So that's the
Ooh.
crying scene when they all do it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, he slugged me in there for that one too.
Oh, that's so awesome. Guys, you're looking at right here. Here he is, BJ in action, kind of Cornfield, literally. That is doing his thing right there. And then here, this was I thought was a neat little backstage.
Yeah, I wanted to include
shot.
something there. That's a really good friend of mine. Her name's Kristen Sawatsky. In fact, she was she's the stunt coordinator on Silent Night, Deadly Night. But she is an amazing stunt performer as well. And there she is,
Okay.
absolutely just covered in gore for a reason. If you haven't seen the movie, I won't spoil it. But
That's right.
yeah.
Oh, and she looks like she's very happy in being covered in blood.
Yeah, it's fun
So-
for about 20 minutes, and then once it gets really sticky and cold,
Yeah.
not as fun. But no, she's a trooper for sure. Like she's one of my go-tos when I'm coordinating. She's always top of the list when we need to start
Okay.
throwing people around.
Awesome. Love it. A few more here I want to share. This is another shot. Let me take this off for a second here. And is this you on the left?
Yeah, this is a continuation of that like hacksaw scene. So
okay, gotcha.
a different angle there, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh my gosh, look at this.
Yeah, and that was that was Chainsaw was the one I did the most. I did some knife work on it, and like I said, I kind of got airdropped in for a couple of key sequences, but my bread and butter was chainsaw friendo, so it was good. This here is the prop chainsaw, and it's quite light.
Okay.
There was a up close one that if you've seen the movie, it's just spewing smoke, and oh my god, they just poured oil on the engine. I actually still get PTSD thinking about it because it was just like smoking everywhere. And it was also like 35 pounds. Like the thing was just a massive weight in my hands. But by the end of the shoot, I think I was a lot stronger from just carrying it around all the time.
I bet you were.
Yeah.
Oh man, so, love it.
I don't know. I'm not sure if you've seen the film, but there's a scene where
I have
where Rust sets that tractor bomb, and that scene was the real chainsaw, the heavy one. So if you watch it, basically, I didn't want to wreck it because it's like. It's our good one. It's our up close one. So as soon as basically we go to the wide shot, you see me put it down. I basically put it down and start running because I didn't want to throw it because it's so heavy. I didn't want to hit. I'm in the middle of the three guys at the door, and I didn't want to drop that massive metal block on anyone's foot. So I kind of just throw it down and then break, run for the hills before that firebomb goes off.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Let's see, and then we got this one here. I uploaded for us too. Look at that.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's fun. That was when we're chasing them into the barn, and
okay.
I think the reason I like the chainsaw so much too is because it's such a fun like prop to work with. Like it's I think the weight actually helped. Like I tried to keep my head
Mhm.
still, like when chickens run and your head
Yeah.
is still, but I'd kind of like sway my shoulders so that it just looked ridiculous. And yeah,
It was
it worked
great, though.
out. Yeah.
It looked great. Oh, man, so awesome. Sounds like it was a really great experience on set too. It sounds like it was
Yeah,
really
it was pretty good. Like we didn't really have any we had some very like challenging days. We had some kind of cold days overnight. Luckily, when I was in the
Mhm.
clown suit, it was actually quite insulated. It was pretty warm. I could layer up, but no, we had a lot of really good nights, and I'm quite happy with how all the stunts turned out on that movie.
Yeah. Real quick, so I want to say hello to my buddy Knight over at the Night Watch Zone. Great friend of mine, fellow content creators, dropping in saying um, saying that they're having an awesome discussion. Thank you, Knight. Yeah, Knight. BJ has given us some great information and details that you're not going to get anywhere else, guys. You got to get it right here. This is the place. All right, so you talked about Eli Craig and his
Mm.
directing style. Were there scenes where he worked with you one on one? Says, "Hey, BJ, here's kind of what I'm envisioning for this particular attack or scene," or did he do some of that, or did he kind of leave you hands
Um,
off to kind of let you really do what your vision would be?
in general, I feel like Eli definitely knows what he wants. Like there'd be times where he'd be kind of figuring out the scene work, and you could see him kind of like you could see him looking at the edit in his eyes, like he's like, I need this,
Mm-hmm.
that. And then as far as like physical performance and friendo related stuff, yeah, earlier on we'd be talking, and I remember like I had questions for him. Like I was like, do you want this like Michael Myers? Do you want it silly? Like, and he was
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, we'll go a little more silly. We'll play it loose, and then so I would just try stuff. Like I mean, the scene where I'm covering Katie's mouth. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always I'm trying to think of like the detail work within the scene. And so, for example, if you watch it again or if you rewatch it, you'll notice
Yeah.
I kind of do this like I do this little like strum across her mouth just to give it that little accent, that
Yeah.
little detail beat. And so I was always trying to think of weird things like that. And and I
Love
think
it.
once we kind of got into our rhythm, um, he kind of just turned me loose, which was which was great. And
Oh, it's
have
so
you seen
cool.
The movie The Running Man? The
Ooh,
old
it's
one?
been
The
years. The
yeah.
old one. Yeah,
So I'm
ages.
doing a lot of weird little homage in there. Like after the hacksaw beheading, I kind of do a little bit of a Jim Carrey walk off where I just like slope my head and walk out with an ice cooler with a guy's severed head. And then anyway, going back to Running Man, when she's trapped in the truck and we're all surrounding her, they
Yes.
kind of this push in and this close up, and I wanted like my mask to shake, so I was actually kind of doing the buzzsaw from Running Man. He's the guy with the chainsaw, so I was like,
Uh-huh.
I'll do a deep cut homage to buzzsaw from Running Man. So I was just trying to drip feed fun little things for me, and then I guess now for you all, if you end up
Yeah.
watching it, you'll know these weird little
Oh,
I
so
don't know
awesome.
detail things that I'm kind of trying to airdrop in there. So
Well, I gotta watch it again now because I'm like, this is not all this now when I watch it, it's giving me through a new
I mean,
lens.
you'd never know, right? If you're watching, you'd never know.
No,
And
no.
if you blink, you'll miss it. But if you know, it's just like a fun little detail, I guess.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. It's awesome. Oh my gosh. Now, here's another question I have for you regarding the stunts. How much, excuse me, goodness, how much rehearsal time and practice time,
Yeah.
walkthroughs did you guys go through?
Yeah, we did quite a bit of rehearsal, and we did a fair bit of previs work as well. So previs work is when you're reading the script and you're kind of
Okay.
highlighting these sequences, and you're like, oh, okay, so the part where uh, crossbow friendo comes out and shoots the guy in the head, and
Hmm.
things go crazy, and they're running and they're falling and knocking over garbage cans, and she uses the garbage can, and we actually shot all that. So I do a fair bit of previs
Wow.
work as a stunt coordinator. So essentially, what
Okay.
that is we get a rehearsal space, and I bring in some of our team, and
Hmm.
we basically shoot like a version of what it's going to look like. And then Eli will give his notes, and he goes, "Oh, I love this, but well, what if we did this or we changed that?" And we can make these little adjustments as we go. But the beauty of a previs is that you essentially have like a functional blueprint going into the shoot day. So you know what to expect. You know kind of what
Okay.
shots you're looking for. That's a swish pan, right? When crossbow shoots, they wanted to do it as a swish pan. So I mean, and those work so well when you're shooting things like that, because then they could just comp the arrow into his head. And we did all the bits where they're banging on the door and he's shooting and the arrows are going in the side of the wall beside her here. Those are all VFX comps, but now they know what to expect there. So, we can open that discussion to other departments now. VFX knows, okay, we're doing the VFX on the wall.
Okay.
We're doing a what's called a heel and reveal. Do you know what that is? A heel and reveal.
No.
Like, let's say I have a bullet hole in my head.
Okay.
They'll do VFX to essentially heal my head until I get shot, and then they reveal it. So they did a heel and reveal of the arrow in the garbage can. She lifted it up, and then they just basically unpainted it, and there it was.
Wow. Tricks of the trade, man. Yeah. This is it. This is all, man. It's amazing.
Lots of rehearsal, lots of previs.
No, that's good.
There's some car related stuff in there where a guy is on a scaffold and he drops on the roof. We had to get that all figured out. Lots of timing, car stunt work. It's all pieces, but you take the big picture and you start breaking it down, and then, and you start to refine. And as you get more granular, the problems get easier to solve as you go.
Amazing. A lot. And I guess you could say, some walkthroughs too. So it was like, Eli, you gave you the time you needed, right, to do the proper prep work.
Yeah, no, he was very supportive. And once they saw the first few previses, hit their inbox, I think they saw the value in it, right? Like anytime you start a project, once the first one lands and they go, oh yeah, this is great. Like this scene is, we have a huge head start on this scene now. So it takes a lot of work off their plate. And there is a lot of value in that. That could potentially be hours of overtime at 4 a.m, as opposed to, just maybe having a tighter day because your efficiency's gone up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it pays off in the end.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we got a super chat question has come through from Hollywood Guy, sending in $5 to support the channel. Thank you, Hollywood Guy. It says, Mr. Verot, during your career as a stuntman, how many stunts did you do until you got it right? Quote. And did you suffer any dangerous injuries? Excuse me.
Yeah, I haven't had any significant injuries.
Good.
I have had a broken rib. That sucked because I broke it on day 3 of essentially a run of
no.
So my ribs had a heartbeat of their own for about 3.5 weeks. It was rough, and we were doing rehearsals every day. So I would just go there knowing I had 8 hours of just meat grinder waiting for me, and I'd go home and I'd take some ibuprofen and I'd get in the hot tub and I'd be like, okay, I'll get some blood flow in there and it'll knit. The bones will knit. And so that was one. Once I got elbowed in the back of the head. I was doing a fight scene and I get bent over, and unfortunately the guy just got me in the back of the head. That one was a bit rough.
Yeah, I bet.
And I've dislocated the finger. It was really weird. It popped out, and for about 8 to 9 months, I would do these things actually it was this finger. It was my right index finger, and it would be these weird things that you don't think of, when you're getting in the car and you just go to grab the seatbelt. I'd go to grab it, and when it would lock, how sometimes you pull too fast and it locks, and my finger would get dislocated again. All the injuries. I got this just loose gate hinge for a knuckle, but it's mostly good now. It don't crack like it used to, but it's much better.
Man.
And maybe you can help me here, Stephen. As far as the how many stunts did I do until I got it right?
I think what I'm getting from that is like rehearsal time. Like how many times did you do until you feel like you had it right?
That right there is one of the most important aspects of rehearsal. That's when you can iron out a lot of the kinks and figure out what's working and what's not working. So ideally, you show up to set and you look amazing. But if you don't, when it comes down to stunt work, you want to do it as few takes as possible. If we're talking something like a burn or a car flip or a stair fall or a high fall, you want to make sure that you have it as dialed as possible for safety reasons, for time on set, because resets on things like that can be tremendously long. I guess my answer would be ideally in 1 or 2 takes, but then to look at that question from another direction, the things that'll sneak up on you the most will be when you're doing like a fight sequence and let's say the camera operator is moving around with a free flowing camera, when you're throwing punches, you got to be really mindful of where the camera is, because if he clocks too far and you throw your punch, like let's say my fist is supposed to go across my face,
right,
and you throw that, well, that's a miss. So that's the stuff that you might not get right on the first go. You want to start getting this intricate dance with both your fight partner or partners and the camera operator. So that's another benefit of the previs. If you can send that off and they have a reference, they go, okay, I got to wrap around here to make sure I'm ready for that punch. All you're trying to do is you're trying to get that dance as dialed in as possible when you land on set.
Oh gosh, yeah, because that was another component that we sometimes forget about is the camera.
Yeah, because I mean, the camera very often, especially in a dynamic fight sequence, is not just on sticks.
That's true.
No. So you have to be very mindful of that. So you're using kind of your peripheral vision and you're stepping. And if he goes this way, you might want to step a little further so that you can make that punch land. But those are things that come with it. You get more comfortable and kind of know where you know where you want to be, and then hopefully when they review the take, you were where you thought you were. So,
wow! I tell you again, mad respect, man, mad respect. I'm telling you. Let's see here. We got another question from the audience. We'll go to. This is from Paula. She says, "What was your most dangerous stunt that you've had to perform in your career?"
I mean, I guess as I just mentioned, like high falls, burns, car flips rather. A lot of that stuff is kind of like on a higher tier. On a movie that I was involved in called "I Still See You" with Richard Harmon. I was his double on that movie, but I also did a burn. So I was actually suspended from a rig and full burn on that one. So, I mean, as far as danger goes, I mean, fire is always dangerous, right? So there's, again, a lot of rehearsal that goes into that. Like everybody, you have a whole fire safety team, and everybody has one job. They know exactly what they need to do so that no one's trying to like cover two jobs. Like you have people on fire extinguishers. You know, everybody has something that they're hyper focused on. That said, it's weird. I actually don't mind doing burns. I think they're not too bad. The worst part of the burn for me is that you're wearing a lot of you're wearing layers of like fire treated and fire retardant clothing, and there's a lot of like cold gel. It's like fire gel. And it's cold. Like they're pulling it out of these like cold icy tubs. So imagine starting naked. And then you're getting into the equivalent of a, what's the word I'm looking for? A water suit. It's like a neoprene water suit soaked in gel, and you're freezing. Like you're almost like hypothermic before you get lit on fire. So for me, like I was so ready to get ignited when we got out there, because from the time you start your process, they go, okay, 5-minute warning, 3-minute warning. It comes out. I was ready. I was like, let's go. I'm freezing my ass off.
Burn me up, light me up.
So awesome. Yeah, that was good. That's probably the most dangerous. You're playing with fire, literally.
Yeah.
You can burn your lungs, burn your eyes. There's a lot of things that could happen, right?
Man, And when it comes to firework, I know a lot of times, at least in the States, when you're dealing with pyrotechnics or those kind of things, obviously that's not pyrotechnics what we're talking about, but I'm saying you have to be specially certified to deal with fire. As a stunt person, is that something you have to be specially trained for, certified for?
You don't need to be certified, but the people that you're working with generally are like, depending on who's providing the fire gel, we're gonna do pre-tests. We're gonna see how it burns, how long it burns for. Is it really runny? Like, is the accelerant really runny, or is it thick? Does it stick in one spot? You're doing a lot of pre-research as well to figure out the nature of the burn that you're working with as well. So that's just something that comes with it. But no, to answer your question, we're not required to be certified. However, some of the people that we've worked with are very experienced in that realm.
Okay. Yeah. And I'm sure the more experienced they are, the more at ease you are, I'm sure. Right?
For sure. And if anything even appears amiss, like the default is you just put them out and then you just reset. You just have to go through the process again, which is it can be a pain in the butt, but it's I mean, compared to the alternatives, it's just a necessary function.
Sure. No, absolutely. Very good. All right. So, man. Now, in terms of just clowning a cornfield, then we're going to get moving as we got about 20 more minutes or so, and then we're going to start wrapping up. But for Clown and Cornfield, we'll end unless you have anything else you want to add about the movie, and I'll give you that opportunity. But for you personally, what was your favorite, or was there a favorite stunt in this movie where you're like, oh, you got to check out this stunt or this thing that we did in Clown and Cornfield? Was there one that stood out to you?
Yeah, there's two that I really like.
Okay.
One, actually, the BTS photo that you provided.
Yeah. Let me pull it up.
Kristen covered in blood. That one was cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit you all with a spoiler in 5 seconds. So plug yours if you don't want to hear it.
Okay.
But
there you go.
Kristen,
5 seconds.
Who's doubling Cassandra Potenza?
Mm-hmm.
She gets basically gored with a pitchfork and jammed into the ceiling and basically explodes an overhead light. Yes. And I think that was just such a great mix of like performance. That's my friend Anders was on the pitchfork. Kristen getting stabbed, selling the stab, a whole rigging team with a wire on her back, pulling her through basically a rope going through the ceiling and then running outside of the entire house.
Dang.
So it was just so many moving parts.
Yes.
And I think it just looked great. Like he just scoops her and spikes her into the roof. It looks awesome.
It was a great shot.
It's so fun. And then the car one near the end of the film with the scaffold and a friend of mine in a harness who drops onto the roof.
Mm-hmm.
That was just crazy too. Like we had a front driver busting through a door blind, hitting a narrow corridor, 3 cameras set up. He didn't hit any of them. We got a guy dropping onto the roof of the car. Like it was just, there's some really cool stuff in that movie. Like I said, I'm really proud of the stunts in there. Next to the driver. So he's just an amazing stunt driver as well. And just a lot of moving parts coming together to just, hopefully enhance a really fun scene for the finale.
It did. Trust me. It's so good. So we got a super chat that's come through. Now this, as you may or may not know, you may have guessed it by my backdrop up there. It's kind of covered up with Ghostface, but I have a lot of Scream content here on the channel. And so Johnny's sending in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Johnny. From Ireland, by the way, all the way from Ireland.
That's awesome.
Oh, incredible. I says, hey, BJ, I love your work. And thanks to Craven for doing this interview. Well, it's my pleasure. Trust me. Now he has a question for you, BJ. I was wondering what your thoughts are on Stu Macher in Scream 7 and if he's alive. Not how familiar you are with the Scream franchise. If you know Stu Macher from the first movies, Matthew Lillard played him.
I saw it in the theater. The weekend. So
you and me too. I didn't see it opening weekend. I'm jealous. I saw it a week later. But okay. So I'm a big Stu truther, BJ. Just so you know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm a self-conductor of the Stu train. So, what are your thoughts? I'll turn it over to you on that.
Well, I mean, I thought he was pretty dead, but I would love to believe that he's still alive. And and I've heard that Matthew Lillard is just super nice in real life. So I would love it if he was rolled back into the franchise. And I think it's so far removed from the original, and especially with like I Know What You Did Last Summer, kind of rebooting and bringing back presumed dead characters. Let's do it.
Right? Why not?
So get him in there if he wants to be involved, and like and there's an angle where they can do it. Bring him back. I think
definitely. I 100% agree, and he's actually been signed on officially to return in Scream 7, but we don't know what capacity.
Okay, that's when you'd mentioned that, I was going to ask you, do you think he's going to come back as a killer, or is he going to come back in a different capacity where he's like reformed or something?
I want him a killer personally, bro.
He's pretty crazy. I mean, he was definitely the wild card of the two. So
he was.
Yeah.
Awesome. Johnny, thanks for your support of the channel and a great question for BJ. That's so cool.
I want to film something in Ireland because we have good tax credits in Canada and they have really good tax credits in Ireland. And I'm like I'm actively looking for an excuse to go film there. So maybe one of these days. I don't mean, it's a slow process and timing is a big factor, but I'm hoping in the next couple of years we shoot something out there. I think that'd be really cool.
Oh man. Well, speaking of shooting films, let's talk for a minute before we go to Orphan. Let's talk a little bit here about your film, Don't Return. And guys, it's available on Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Fandango. It's on Tubi. So it's all the streaming platforms have it. And BJ, this one somehow it hit for me. And I have not seen this movie. I'm going to be watching it tomorrow.
Oh, cool.
So I apologize that I hadn't seen it yet.
Oh, good.
But I'm watching it tomorrow with a friend of mine. I texted him earlier and said, "Hey, we're going to watch this tomorrow." Tell us about your opportunity here to write and direct this film, Don't Return. What can you tell us about it that doesn't give it too much away?
Yeah. There are a few things that are a little spoiler centric. I mean, that said, it's come out a few years ago now. But before we go any further, I have an interesting question for you.
Okay.
In the U.S., is it entitled? It's called Don't Return in the U.S.?
In the U.S., it's called Don't Return. That's what it's on
Because the original
Amazon.
title for me is The Return, and I believe I thought it was the UK that was Don't Return, but maybe in the US it's also Don't Return. So that's news to me. So
it sure is.
It's being branded under two names, which is interesting. But so basically at the time I was like I said, I was just cranking out narrative shorts, and I just had this really good fortune of I did one short film, I think in like 2016 maybe. And it was a bit like art house, not really my style, but I got like a nice grant for it. So, nice. So I and it was also an opportunity to direct someone else's script. So it wasn't uniquely my own. And then the following year, I did another short film called Echoes in the Ice, which is like, if you haven't seen it, I believe you can check it out on the Dust platform. It's called Echoes in the Ice. It's a Lovecraftian Arctic sci-fi horror. It's 10 minutes long. I would love to do that as a feature. That's one of my projects that I have in development right now. But that one also, sorry, I might have gone too far ahead. That film that I did in 2016 got selected by Telefilm, which is like a national funding body here in Canada, to go to a curated program at the Cannes Film Festival. And then, as luck would have it, Echoes in the Ice got selected again through Telefilm to go to the Cannes Film Festival through this curated program. So things were kind of like trending really well with this like national financier, I guess. And my friend Ken Jansen's had the original script. So just for clarity, he was like the driver of the initial story for The Return.
Okay, gotcha.
And I came on and made some pretty significant revisions, mostly whittling it down, changing some character points, adding in some little tweaks here and there. So we co-wrote it after the first draft, essentially.
Oh, okay, man.
So got financed through Telefilm, Not Short on Talent program is what it's called. And so it's very low budget, but it's very ambitious. We had a ton of VFX in there. It's got some interesting twists and turns. Like I said, I don't want to get too far if you're going to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah. Watch it tomorrow.
Here's one of my my notes that I will say about it though. It's probably going to be one of the most PG-13 movies in my ensuing filmography that you'll see. Everything else I'm doing kind of tracks a little bit more it's a little more horror-centric and stuff. So it's definitely living in a PG-13 realm, but I think the story is very unique and it's cool. And as it happens, Richard Harmon was the lead. Richard Harmon is currently in Final Destination. So I've actually noticed that there's been like a bit of a spike right now in the Returns viewing analytics and and I mean, he's a great guy. Like I said, I doubled him on one movie. He was acting as the lead in my feature I directed. He's on Final Destination, so he's a busy guy. He's great. So
that's awesome, man. Yeah. That's so cool. It looks like one of our members of the audience, Melissa, my community, said on Tubi it's called The Return. So there you go. On Tubi,
exactly. I know it as The Return, but I know for sure in the UK it was Don't Return, and now it appears that in the US it's Don't Return, which I actually don't mind, because I told my distributor, I said, I mean, because actually the initial title for the film was Homecoming, which I feel like was a very strong title for the film, but then Julia Roberts was in that Amazon show that came out called Homecoming, and I was like, oh that's no. Cool. So I felt like The Return, the title of The Return, might be a little bit harder to find, but Don't Return at least stands. So I actually don't mind the international name shift.
Okay.
Sorry. Anyway, I was digressing on that.
No, you're good, man. Trust me. Hey, Sarah. Sarah's here is one of my moderators on the channel and a really good friend. Sent a $10 super chat. Sarah, thank you for supporting the channel. That means a lot. She says, thanks for joining us tonight. As a Nova Scotian, I always love seeing Canadian talent succeed in the industry. I saw on IMDb you won several actor awards. What was that like? Ooh,
Awesome.
yeah.
It was great. So I won one for best stunt, and that was for like a Western TV series called The Pinkertons, and it was for a bar brawl, which was really cool. I really had a lot of fun on that one. So yeah, I won that. Every 2 years they do these awards. I've been lucky enough to be nominated for other ones, but I haven't been able to seize another one. And then the other one that I won for was best actor in a short film. And just give me one moment.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Got them right here, actually.
Oh, look at that.
Heavy, but yeah, they're pretty cool.
Nice.
This one's really nice. This one here, I really like. This is with my buddy Sean Skeen that I was telling you about. We did the fight together, so it's a special one. We got to share that together. And this was directed by Sean Skeen. So I mean, he's one of my closest friends, and we just get to
so
keep doing fun
cool.
stuff. And then I actually had something hooked on the awards. I had something hooked on her arm, and you might recognize this. It's a critter. So I was talking to a friend of mine. He did the special effects, the makeup special effects on my feature. Sorry, it's kind of falling apart. It's a little old and burnt now, but his name is Ziffel. He did like the Wolf Cop movies. He's worked on a ton of stuff, Krampus. And I told him, I said, I'd really like to do a Critters reboot one day. And he kept his lips buttoned, but he was working on the reboot of the Critters at the time. And this was from the Critters awesome. They got blown up on set. So he brought one to me on set when we were working on the movie. So
wow.
I just keep that hanging off of the
heck yeah
award. So normally that's how it looks. She's just hanging out with the critter there.
That's really neat that you have that. I mean, the awards.
It's like a little from the movie. It's amazing,
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thanks, Sarah. That's a great question, and I'm always happy to talk about that stuff. And I'm glad that things are continuing to grow here in Manitoba. I talked about how when I first started, it wasn't busy, but boy, is it ever getting steady here. It's really busy. It's great. So things are just going to be trending upward and onward, I think.
Fantastic. Sarah, thank you so much for your super chat as well, and much appreciated. And as we start to, as time goes by so fast, my gosh, we're already at almost 55 minutes. But you know what? If you're willing to come back, BJ, if you had a good time.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, we can do another one. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you want to go over a few minutes, we're good. It's totally, whatever you want to do. We can go over
okay. Sure. I appreciate that then. We'll go. We won't go too crazy because I want to be respectful of you and your time.
And like I said, or like you said, we can always do another one down the road.
Yes. Soon.
Whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. But that's having said that, I'll take advantage of that since you offered just for a little bit. And we've got to get into one of my favorite movies of the last 4 or 5 years. I guess now 5 years is back when I guess it's 2022 for Orphan First Kill was released, and I thoroughly enjoyed The Orphan, and I really liked First Kill. I thought it was a really cool twist on things, and I did not see.
I mean, when you when you're reading the script, when you're doing the breakdown, and then these twists come.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet! I agree.
Yeah,
that was a real delight.
Oh man, yeah. What can you tell us about kind of what you'd like to share? Your experience working there.
Yeah.
Everything. I'd love to hear your thoughts and get some of your inside information.
Sure. I mean, I guess I'll kind of walk through a few of these initial beats. So, like I said earlier, I mean, there's certain movies that I've worked on that I'm really proud of. Orphan is one of them. I also feel like that was also one of the bigger swings that I was allowed to take earlier in my career, which is like, 4 years ago or whatever. I think we filmed it maybe 21, 22, 21, I think it was when we filming.
Okay.
And I got to meet Brent Bell, and I loved the movie Were. So I know some people are like conflicted on Were. I thought it was awesome. So He was really cool, and he was a director that I feel like really puts faith in his departments. Like, and he goes, okay, let's make this work. How are we going to do it? And so I did some previs, and for the kitchen fight, for example, with Julia Stiles and Isabel Furman, I previs that. It's not a crazy long scene, but it's fairly involved. We got people getting like launched over the counter and smashed in the head, and they're fighting on the ground. And it was quite flattering, actually. I showed up to set that day, and he had my previs on his phone, and he was like, "We'll just shoot this. We'll just shoot this." And I was like, "Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, let's just shoot that. That's great." So it was a very like close-handed work day. I mean, it's one of the days that I look back the most fondly in my whole career. Wow. It was like me, Brent, the DOP, Kareem Hussein, who's done like Infinity Pool and Possessor and Orphan, and he's an amazing guy. So yeah, it was good. I had here's another fun fact. Kristen Sawatsky, I think you've heard that name earlier. She was Julia Stiles double that day. Although Julia and Isabel did a lot of the fighting themselves, I had 2 doubles. We had our key cast members, and they all just went for it. It was really cool.
Oh man.
Yeah, so that was good. There's a producer on that project as well. His name's Victor Moyers, and I feel like in my career he was just a very like instrumental supporter of my growth. I think as a stunt coordinator, he's just he had a lot of trust, and he put a lot of faith in what we were doing, and I think that resonates in the film. And I hope he comes back again, because I love working with and for him.
Oh man. Well, this is a great shot you sent me. I love this picture. Look here. This is such a great shot there, man.
The longest hair in the world and a COVID mask hanging off my face. Awesome. That was December. So like I said, I mean, I've worked on so many movies that go almost to Christmas. I think I might have mentioned that. I might not have, but this is like December, I don't know, 15th, 16th. It's like a week before Christmas, and Isabel's just covered in blood. And this is a set. So we're on set here. We crawl up onto the roof, and this was my last day on set. I think there was one more day where they were just cleaning up some pickup shots on some scenes. But Isabel was really pleasant to work with. I think this is literally her last or second last day on a movie where she's been working every single day on set, and I don't think she ever had like a day where she was off. Like, she was always pleasant, willing to work, willing to do this, crawl around, get covered in blood. It was really fun.
Wow, that's great. I mean, just she's got what a great smile. She almost she just looks like a very nice person just from this picture. Like very, very.
She's genuinely just a very positive and great person to be around.
Wow. Any moments from Orphan First Kill that I would say like maybe stands out to you? Anything you remember looking back that you're just really, this was like an awesome shoot, or just what have you?
There's a few things. One of which was when they have, I mean, it's not a huge scene in the movie. I just really liked it. It's when they're in the train station, and they're like all sliding around on the ground trying to get away. I just thought that was really fun because it's just like so different than the hard hitting stuff that you expect. It's like the purse goes flying and they're sliding on the ground and the guy's getting sprayed with mace. It's just there's a lot of fun moving parts in there. That was really cool. And then I really liked the whole ending sequence. We did so much with that rooftop stuff. I remember we were looking at the roof of the actual house, and I remember we were looking at it, and it's like the wooden shingles. They're called shakes, and they were like old and rotten, and there's like rusty nails poking out. And I was like, and the slope, the grade of the roof was incredibly steep. So when we were talking about that, and this was just for like the part when they're like climbing up. And I remember I was just saying, like, I said, we'll have them secured. We'll have our doubles up there. But I said, because it's so steep, I said, it's, performance may suffer a little bit just because it's going to be 2 people getting pulled essentially because they can't climb. They're going to be getting pulled up and making it look like they're climbing. So what we ended up doing was we built a whole extra piece of the house with the roof, which was like, now the scale and the slope was a lot more manageable.
There you go.
With camera angles, you can start cheating it. And like when she slides down the roof and goes hanging off the edge of the eaves trough, that's all now in. Well, I mean, that was intended to be in studio, that little sequence anyway, I believe. But we were going to shoot one live at the house. But all of what you see is in studio, and I think it just sings. I think it's so fun. We did previs for that. We did rehearsals, sliding someone 30 feet down a ceiling, and then it was really cool. And the roof wasn't even like that high off the ground. I think it was maybe like 12 feet. So what we would do is we as stunt people, we have harnesses for both cast and stunt performers. So they're all safetied. And we had things where they're coming off the edge and hanging off the eaves trough. And then for shots where it was Isabel and Julia hanging off and they're hanging, looking up, we had them actually just standing on a scaffold. We built a scaffold for them. So they're standing on a green scaffold, and they just comped it in so that it looks like 40 feet to their death.
Yes. So, incredible,
lots of fun little tricks in there, and those were a busy couple of days, but they were really fun.
Wow, amazing. Again, everything looks so real. Like, there's never a moment in those scenes that I ever think, I spot like, oh yeah, you can tell that's a this or that's a set or that's that. It looks so real, and it just, again, I take my hats off to you guys, not just the effects guys, which of course have a big part of it too, but your performances and how you direct them and how you get, all that stuff. It has to be all together for it to work. Otherwise, you can peek behind the curtain. And it was great. I love the movie, man. It's really good.
It's so fun too. It's cool.
Yes.
And actually, here's one other thing that I'll touch on regarding some of the roof work. There was now a separate set that we did where, as you recall, when Julia's going up the roof and Isabel's following, or no, it's the other way around. Sorry, Isabel's going up the roof and Julia's following. They had built these tiny little like wooden handles into the roof work, so they had like footholds, and we had them harnessed and they had lines on, and that's all obviously painted out. But like that, like you have your two leads climbing up this like set, and she's got a knife in her mouth, like because when she gets there, she's gonna kill her. And I was like thinking to myself, like, man, we would have never gotten that at the house. Like this looks phenomenal, and it's such a fun sequence. Like I watched that and I'm like, man, like that. I'm so glad we did it in the studio because like we just got so much more out of so many additional aspects of that scene.
Oh man, I love it. It's a great movie, and if there's anyone here again that has not seen Orphan and then Orphan First Kill in that order, you guys really need to check it out. I highly recommend both of those movies. They're very well done, and we get to see BJ's amazing work in Orphan First Kill. So be sure and watch these movies, guys. They're so good. Oh my gosh, we're getting. Oh, let me see. Let me do one more real quick. And again, I've got to have you back because there's so much to talk about. So much on these movies. I'll tell you what. Before I dig into an older movie, I'd like to spend a lot of time with you. Let me save that. And instead, how about for all of those that are here and watching, you guys made the time tonight to spend your evening with us. And those watching on replay tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now, you'll be watching this. Can you give us, you're working on a film of a beloved original 80s slasher. It's a remake, Silent Night, Deadly Night, starring Rowan Campbell from Halloween Ends. And now, look, I don't want you to get in trouble. I'm not gonna, and I will never ask you things that would set you up to fail. But let me ask you this: is there anything you can share in general about working on this film and what you personally did on the film?
Yeah, there's some stuff. I mean, I'll have to be kind of discreet in how I unpack it, but
yes,
but absolutely, I can touch on that. Yes, it's now wrapped. It's wrapped.
Okay.
I didn't coordinate it. I did a couple cover coordinating days for my friend Kristen Sawatsky, so she was still coordinating on that one. And okay, so as far as the film goes, it's directed by Mike P. Nelson, who did. The name of the film is eluding me right now. The Domestics, which I love. I thought that movie was so cool. So So I was already pretty hyped to get on set and meet Mike. And yeah, and I kind of maybe sound like a broken record now because I was just like, oh, Isabel was like one of the nicest people ever. Ruby Modine and Rowan Campbell were also in my, like, again, this is spanning like a decade. Two of the most pleasant people I've worked with as well. So so yeah, we're really sandwiching in all the heavy hitters on the nice train. But yeah, they were so fun to work with.
That's good to hear, though.
And yeah, it's great. It makes showing up to work like a lot easier. Everyone's having a good
Yeah.
time, and then you just flick that switch, and then things get a little serious at times. But without getting into details, I will say that one of the scenes that I was involved with, there's just a sequence that is just like it's so insane, and there's so much carnage going on at about the midpoint, 2/3 point of the film.
Okay.
It's going to be a marquee sequence of the project. Obviously, I can't say
wow,
anything.
That's a teaser.
It's crazy. It's like I remember reading it and just being like, where do we go from here? Because this is insane. So I mean, I'll leave it at that.
Yes, thank you.
It's just so new. Like it just wrapped like 2 weeks ago. So it's going to be.
Wow.
Actually, I don't think it's going to be that big of a wait. If I'm not mistaken, I think it might be coming out this year for
wow.
Christmas. So
Christmas time.
That'd be
great.
Way too long on that little tease, but it was fun to work on, and it was a very pleasant cast, and yeah, very stunt heavy. I got my butt whooped on a few days, so it'll be fun. It'll be really fun.
Oh gosh. Well, listen, when it comes out, of course, I want to have you back way before then, obviously. But whenever that movie does come out, and we get a chance to see it, it's in theaters, you'll get to watch it. We've got to talk about it. Obviously, the way you teased it, and I mean, we got to talk about that. Man.
Yeah, it's
no way
it's
I can
really
leave
weird.
that.
Like when we do circle back to this, you'll be like, "Oh my god, there's so many layers to what you're teasing." But yeah, we'll get there. It's only a few months away, only a couple sleeps. So
it's true. Yeah, it really will. It'll be before we know it. Well, listen, guys, this has been a blast. BJ, I want to sincerely thank you again for giving your time tonight and your very busy schedule to sit down and share some of your experiences with us. And it means the world. And I truly am honored to have you here tonight. This has been great.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me. I had a great time. And I just find this stuff very fun. I like to unpack these things and relive some of the things that I've had a chance to do, because when you're just on set and you're always caught up in the moment and you're thinking of like what's coming next, it is kind of fun to meet up with people and reflect on some of the fun things that you've done and that you're proud of. So yeah, it was great to do this. I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh man, my pleasure. And seriously, man, I'm gonna be reaching out to you soon about part 2, because we got a lot more to talk about, a lot more movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll do it again, and we'll look at a whole bunch of other stuff if you'd like. Yeah.
Yes, totally, absolutely. Spoof says thanks for coming. What a blast.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And Wayne, I think I see your note there. The Domestics is great. I agree. It's like Fallout on steroids, kind of, but like in a post-apocalyptic.
Okay.
It's crazy. It's really fun.
I gotta watch it. It's one of I have somehow missed that one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I won't say anything else. Just go in blind.
Yeah. Right.
And just enjoy it. It's fun and weird and violent. It's great.
Okay. Also, guys, be sure and follow VJ over on Instagram. Thank you, Sarah, for posting the link right there. And don't forget to watch his film, The Return, or / Don't Return, however it might be.
Yeah, right.
But whichever it is, be sure and watch it. I'm going to be watching it tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to
I hope
that.
you like it.
Thank you, man.
We'll talk about it more once you've seen it.
We can dive into it for sure. All right, so what we'll do then here, BJ, you just hang tight. I'll see you backstage again in just a few seconds. All right, but for everyone in the chat, first of all, Sarah, thanks for hopping in and moderating the chat. I appreciate that very much. And for everyone that attended tonight, all that gave super chats to the channel, thank you all for your generosity. And this was a lot of fun. So guys, have a great rest of y'all's night and a great rest of your weekend. And we'll see you soon. Bye, guys.
Good night.